Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Paul Lisnick and this is Comcast Newsmakers. This hour's newsmaker is Will Burns. He's alderman for the 4th Ward in the city of Chicago. Today, we're going to be talking about the budgeting process for the city, trying to explain that. Alderman, good to see you.
Good to see you again, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it wasn't too long ago that you were actually a representative in Springfield, where at least there were no money problems to deal with.
I wish that were the case. So it seems like wherever I go, there seems to be budget crises. So we had to deal with a severe budget crisis down in Springfield. They're still dealing with it, and now we deal with it in Chicago, except my commute is a little bit shorter.
Yeah, a much shorter commute, but I also want to talk to you about, in a very brief way, the process coming from the mayor versus, say, a budget that comes from the governor's office and what goes on here. It seems that Mayor Emanuel seems to be very forceful about what gets presented. Well,
he is very, and his staff are very clear about what's in the budget, and they brief the members. I think the briefings are very similar between Springfield and Chicago. You don't have the partisan dimension, and I think the other difference is that in the city council, the mayor is sort of a part of the body in a way that the governor is not in the state legislature.
So one of the things that Mayor Emanuel has promised, we're not going to have new property taxes, we're not going to have an increase in fees and all that, but there is one little trick to that, right? Because there were some fees and things that took place before he made that comment, and those will continue.
Right, so those will continue. I mean, and those are tied to the water and sewage fee increases are tied to our bonding program, which will help to replace water mains throughout the city, which means that your houses are less likely to get flooded, you'll save money on your bills, and it's better for our infrastructure.
So if you don't raise a lot of new revenues in the way he's talking about, there's also plans to provide a lot of new services. Two questions. One, what kind of new services will we be seeing and new programs? And number two, how are you paying for them?
Right. So right now we're going through that process of sort of doing a deep dive on what the numbers look like. But the long story short is that we're looking at a $289 million hole, which the mayor has filled using new efficiencies in terms of how the city provides current services, looking at our health care expenditures, and then also looking at new revenue growth and new revenues that were authorized by the city in the previous year but didn't come online in the last budget. So that would be, for the viewers out there, the speed cameras.
What are the efforts that have been made? Yeah, we're real thrilled about that.
I know you are.
By the way, touch base real quick, because there is that decision from an Illinois Attorney General 38 years ago that said, you want to give somebody a speed ticket, you better have a kid in that picture. And that's making it difficult.
I'm sure all your viewers know that when they look very closely at the speed limit sign, when they're going exactly 20 miles an hour in front of a school, that it says when children are present. Yeah. It doesn't say speed limit 20 miles per hour. It says when children are present. And so that has to be a part of the finding as well.
So it's an issue right now, is it?
It is an issue, and the camera has to be able to capture children actually being in the shot and speeding through the school zone. Now that does not apply for parks. And we have a lot of parks and pocket parks and play lots in the city of Chicago, and so I think that if schools are a problem, I think the city might be able to make it up on the park side.
Now, I know the city and county have been working together. Part of where the cost savings have been, President Preckwinkle with Mayor Emanuel. Is that working? Is that a major savings?
It is an important savings. I mean, I think every time we can find a way to save a little bit of money, it makes a difference. And if we can find ways to show the taxpayers that, hey, look, the city and the county aren't going to provide duplicate services. We're going to figure out how to work together to have one entity providing the service and send that money to someplace else where we need to make a difference. And people need help right now.
Just a few seconds. What's the most important thing to you in the budgeting process?
The most important thing to me in the budgeting process is line iteming everything out so that there are no sort of lump sums where you don't know how the money is spent. It has sort of a generic title over it. We want to make sure the budget is transparent and open and people have confidence that they know how their money is being spent.
Mayor doing a good job?
I think the mayor's doing a good job in the 4th Ward. I call the city and need something done in my ward, we're getting it done.
You're connected. Thank you, sir. This hour's newsmaker has been Will Burns, alderman for the 4th Ward in the city of Chicago. I'm Paul Lisnick. Thanks for joining us here. This, of course, is Comcast Newsmakers. See you next time. Bye-bye.